the session. So we're going to start recording the session, the group supervision session now. But if at the end somebody doesn't want this to be shared with anybody, we'll stay for us or for me. Nobody will watch it. It depends on how do we feel at the end.
So if you want to turn on, open your microphones. I could start with one suggestion, and my suggestion, my rule would be, let's take risks. How about any other rules? Have any of you been in a supervision group demonstration exercise? Yeah? Okay. So what do you suggest? Just
no judgment.
In. I'm sorry?
No judgment.
No judgment. Great. No judgment.
Make it playful, like make it light.
Playful light. Okay, I like that. Anything else? I would add, let's be generous.
Confidentiality, you know, what you share here, stay here. What if we're going to share the video, we have to look at that.
Okay. So I think we have it, besides all the other not unsaid rules. No judgments. Let's do it playful. Let's do it light. Be relaxed. Take risks. Okay. Everybody feels comfortable. Okay. And before we start, before we go to the case, is there anything else we need from each other to work effectively today? I know so many things are going on in the world, and we're all very charged up. But besides that, no? Okay, so then let's go on, Damian.
Okay, so who would like to present the case today?
I will.
Okay, great. So tell us about your case.
So it is a client I started working with in November sometime. So we are in Feb now. And so, you know, with this one organization, this is one of the many clients that I've been working with. And generally the expectation is, or how the engagement, you know, generally flows is we meet twice in a month, every fortnight for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. We have, you know, goals set out for a quarter as short term, and we may even have long-term goals, something like for a year or so. It's a 12-month engagement. So with this member, what I have observed is the sessions do get scheduled, but when it comes closer to the coachee showing up a day before the session or 2 days before the session, either it gets rescheduled or it gets cancelled. Yeah. And when I say this, means the coachee decides, you know, to do this. So we've had 2 sessions only so far. We started in November. And the reasons are umpteen. Okay, this is happening, this is not happening, and stuff like that. So that's the case I would invite you know, people to help me reflect on.
And what would you like from the group today? How do you want your colleagues to support you today with this case?
That would be, so I'll tell you what I'm considering is maybe I want to write back formally to the organization and say, well, this member, this is what it is, and they want to nudge her to, see if the member wants to work with another coach. And I'm absolutely okay. Yeah, so that option exists. But
you want to validate that option with your colleagues here?
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I think just this much will be super useful. And anything else that may then just emerge from as somebody is having me reflect, I think that will be useful as well.
Susie?
I just have one question before we start the rounds. What makes this such a challenge for you?
So a couple of things actually. It's a 1-year engagement. So that means a member can actually draw. I love coaching, so I know, there is so much that can be useful from working in the coaching space. And I see that the coachee is likely to lose out on this huge opportunity, and it's a mid-career opportunity. So I'm clearly seeing from that point of view. I'm not saying I'm a great coach, but I would rather have this, a coachee make use of coaching.
Okay. All right. Do I need to keep on going, Damian, or you want to go? Okay, so we will make a first round of questions, and we can focus, for those of you who have gone through the training on the first 3 eyes, what information we need to understand better the case. And then the supervisee will choose the most relevant to her, and then we'll guide you for the next part. Okay, so so who would like to start with questions of understanding, information, whatever you need to get the case? As I think we should all participate, because that's what's going to make this real rich and reflective. Okay, Michael, did you just raise your hand? Do you want to start? Or Haya, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure, I can start. So, Suk,
Okay.
Can I start?
Sure. And Shu, at the end, you'll decide which question will help us all understand more the case, or which 2 questions. Okay. Sure, Haya.
So, Suk, I was thinking about this, and I'm just wondering that I think one of the assumptions that you called out was that this client might work well with another coach. That's an assumption I heard. What could be other assumptions which you can make, which can get this person interested with you?
Thank you. Thank you, Haya. Okay, should I ask one by one, or you just want to jump in?
No, I will make a list of the questions.
Yes,
and then I'll see.
So I want to be sure everybody needs to participate here. So the question is, what question do you have based on you heard the case? What questions do you have about this case? Just to start exploring.
Okay, Herman.
Yeah, I was sort of sitting here thinking, what would you like to ask your client about this?
Thank you. Michael?
Why don't you just let go?
Let go.
Let go, yeah.
Scott?
What do you think is going on inside the client?
Janine?
Yes, Sukia, I'm sorry if I've pronounced your name incorrectly. I sense a lack of, or a tentativeness about yourself and this client, and I'm wondering how that's perhaps maybe transferring to your client or not.
Okay. Damian, do you have a question? Are we participating?
Yeah, I want to ask a question too. Like, I had a couple of assumptions. I think this question about assumptions. Somebody asked you what are the assumptions that Jaya asked you, and I was wondering if there was some way that there is a part of you that you think you may not be a good match, and there is a little bit of guilt about that. You know, related to Michelle about letting go. What is about letting go? I think that many times it's pretty common for coaches to feel guilty if something's not working and they need to. It's not a good match at the beginning. Like it's the idea that all coaches should be great for all clients, and if not the case, something wrong with us as coaches. I don't know. It's an assumption that's in my mind.
So, and my question to you would be, which was your contract? What did you contract with the company and with your client? Okay, so we're going to give you like a few minutes just to answer the most relevant so we can all start with the second part. Hi. I mean, Shu. You have
Sure. Okay. So of the many, well, for some I can answer, but I don't need to. So I'm just letting them go. But I want to stick with Michelle said, why don't you let go? So if you can support me with that question a little bit, that would be useful.
So do you want to answer the question?
No, if Michelle can, if you can be a little more specific, because letting go, I don't know. What does he mean by that?
Well, the idea is that coaching is a process where the client is requesting something. So if we intervene, if we by any way try to push him or to sell it something, to sell it myself, then we are no more in the coaching process. It's a kind of a commercial transaction, or it's no more coaching. So why don't you let go? Is that normally the coach is bought. I mean, the client has to purchase you to buy you. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm understanding from this is, and that's definitely an option, is yeah, so that's definitely an option. I can simply, stay back, hoping when, sorry, those are my dogs, so sorry about that. So hoping when the client, sorry, just give me a okay, sorry about it. So, and hoping that when the client is, has probably got sufficient time to think through and see this is the time that, the client can reach out to me. Yeah, so that's one way. And I have seen in my experience, sometimes it does happen over a period of coaching engagement. Maybe there can be a month or two when they, get tied up with other things, and then they come back and they make use of some more time with coaching. They go away. So a bit of that. I should see my experience, I can do that. And if I look at the whole lot of other questions, is because it has been only 2 sessions, I think we are still in that beginning, of establishing a coaching relationship. So that contract is still a bit fluid. So I'm thinking, is it too early to reach out to the organization and say, maybe, let the coachee consider an alternate coach? So my concern is more around that. Should I just stay back? Should I say that is the reason? I don't know.
So should we move on, Susie, to the next exercise?
Okay. Sue, we're gonna show you, and we're gonna facilitate a number of photographs.
Okay.
And we're gonna ask you, they're like 12 photographs, and I'm just gonna be passing them like this. I'll leave them a few seconds in the screen. Okay. And if any of these images say something to you, or you can associate or bring, or if they bring any insights to you of how you're feeling, or what emotions you're going through, or what you think is behind your challenge, stop us and intervene. Okay, and if I don't hear from you, I'll keep on passing them. If all of them say something to you, great. If none, whatever. Okay, so let me just make sure I'm doing the right thing.
And everybody else who is watching can also see if you see any associations between these pictures and the case for you, if you make any connections.
Yes, everybody. And if you need me to go back, I can present another one again, the same one again.
Go a little bit further so we can see it better. Yeah, that's better. That is the place. So as a technique, maybe you can put your face in one pot and put it like this. Let me go to do this. So
but I want to make sure
like this. Susie,
you can see it.
Put your face, put the picture like this. Susie, do it like this so we can still see your face and we can see the picture there. This is my book, advertising. Spanish.
You can interrupt us. Anyone?
Oh, how interesting was that? Do
I'm
you
sorry?
have more? But I
No,
think even this much.
No, but
Okay.
you're waiting until you see all of them?
No, not at all.
You want me to keep going?
No, I think that's good.
Do you want me to go
I
back?
think I think these many are perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I go back, or what would you like me to do?
No, I'm good, thanks. So how does it go? Should I share how I'm seeing all of this?
Any insights, reflections?
Sure. Okay. So I'll tell you, clearly 2 things are happening in my mind. One is it is related to how I see the client in her context. Is probably she's going through rough waters. The roots was and the weight that a rickshaw puller with such heavy weight was, you know, and the last one, and the cars, you know, on a driveway. So if I make a few, if I connect all of them, it gives me a bit of this insight. Maybe there is too much happening on the client side. You know, when you have multiple demands on your time and there is time constraint, you know, you are tied up. There is, and that is far more natural for us to get into because we are in that autopilot in a typical organization setting. And my sense is, you know, a client in this kind of space would, you know, either get drawn or, you know, the best thing to do or best things to go to is, you know, to get absorbed in work. So I saw a bit of that. And on my side, you know, the hair, you know, sitting still, watching, and probably, you know, creating, leaving that space, not even creating, leaving the space for the client to, yeah, so I don't know, to do what, I don't want to, I mean, that's not coming to my mind, but leaving that space for the client. There was something about that picture like this, you know, to pause, yeah, and the tortoise towards the end is, you know, slow down. Maybe it's all on me. I tend to be, you know, my mind runs too fast, so I may be overthinking. For me, 2 sessions in 4 months is less. Maybe for the client, they are too many. Yeah, it's a possibility that, you know, my client is still processing those 2 sessions.
Okay, let's stop here. So we have only 15 more minutes before we finish here. So I think that it sounds like you got a lot of reflection on that. It sounds like you got a lot from, like, you kept going on, but we need to start wrapping up here. We want to do one more technique before we finish. And so I'm wondering what, for everybody else, what, any comments or reactions when you heard Suk sharing the association? The idea is that these pictures will be a source of association and bring some insight. And it did work this time, you know, with what Suk just shared. What is the observation from everybody else? What do you notice? What caught your attention? Anything you want to share about the process, about what's going on? Still in the case of Suk that she's bringing to discussion in that context.
Maybe there was a parallel process.
Mm-hmm.
And the parallel process is that I gave an answer to Suk when she asked me to develop. I think it was wrong to develop. And maybe it is a parallel process. I felt forced to provide an answer.
So they were in the same way that you were providing some kind of guidance or direction. You see that she's also doing that in some way to the client, or how would be the parallel process?
Yeah, that would be the parallel process. Yeah, that I did what Suk is doing.
Okay.
Michelle, can you talk more about it? That's very interesting. I'm just trying to understand that.
Well, in my way of doing supervision, I consider myself as a parallel process hunter. When I'm observing, when I am in group supervision as a supervisor or as a participant, I try to identify, I focus on where are the parallel processes. So And you see, when Suk explained her case, I noticed that I was feeling nothing, no temptation to provide a recommendation. I mean, I was really neutral. But when she asked me to develop, then I felt forced. I mean, really, I had a feeling of being forced to provide something, which is, I mean, normally the correct answer was, no, Suk, I'm not going to develop. This is it. You take what I said and that's it. You see, and I think that, I mean, a parallel process is always an hypothesis. So I think that there is a parallel process here. It's a proposal. I mean, yeah, when you are not familiar with the Canadian, we have a lot of discussion in Europe about the difference between group supervision and something that has been invented in Canada called co-development, another way of working with groups. So in order to differentiate supervision, we really focus a lot on parallel processes, trying to use processes that are make parallel processes emerging and really focus on that as a supervisor.
So for people who are not familiar with parallel processes, Scott, you have not gone through supervision training. So what the idea is, what's happening here and now that can be in some way related to what's happening in parallel between Suk and the client? So it's interesting because it took some difficulty to start this session today. So I can, as a group supervisor, what I was noticing is that people were not actively participating, not actively engaged. So the way that people were relating to this situation and even working together today, even before you hear the case. And then there was a similar issue about lack of engagement on the group with the case between Suk and her clients. Can everybody see that? Where I'm going here with parallel processes, level of engagement and energy. You know, what's happening here? But something is happening that can be recreated in some way that level of engagement or lack of engagement in the process between Suk and her client. Can you see that, Suk, where we're going with here? So I think that's another parallel process, a different one, also related to the case.
Yeah,
and then I think that here, in terms, and interestingly, Suk had to choose one question and chose that one. She could have chosen something else. So what made her, choose that one? So when you're a group supervisor, you wonder in these dynamics, what's going on and how that is related to. And I do believe that here is when Michelle recognized that, okay, he was providing some guidance or telling her what to do. And there maybe was a part of Suk that wanted that, and a part of that she didn't want that. And maybe the same thing with the client. Maybe there's a part of the client that wants them to tell her what to do, but there is a part of that wants to leave it more open and need something else. So what I want to invite you to do is to try another technique. So Susie, we talk about looking at the situation, and I want to invite, yes, Janine, you have a comment about that.
Can I just quickly come in on those photos, which might connect with the parallel processes? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Just very quickly, because I picked those photos of the hare or the rabbit and the tortoise, and also the traffic jam. So, and I felt that hare was reflecting that tentativeness that I noticed, that tortoise or turtle, that slowness. So you talked about that slowness in the engagement. So I felt there was this slowness that was going on with this group and the session, or Suk's coaching client. And also the traffic jam, again, representing it's sort of clogged, sort of slowing down. So I just thought that was useful to share, given what both you, Damian, and Michelle have been sharing as well.
Thank you. And you know what, Janine, that was also my parallel process that I observed, was that maybe Suk's conclusion was, okay, my client is trying to slow down, is slowing down, and maybe I should slow down, like the turtles, like that was like your, to me, my interpretation was that is like your hypothesis of this. It's like everybody's very busy, and maybe my client is too. And my interpretation, tell me if I'm wrong, is that maybe I shouldn't push it or interpret something else, because maybe it's a second session and it's slowing. It's like starting slow, and that's the parallel process I found.
Yeah. Another in terms of the pictures, when you were looking at pictures, we all associate things. Like, for example, for me, when I saw the hand that you talk is about slowing down, for me, had a different meaning. For me, when I saw the hand, I related to you thinking, okay, she wants to leave, like in Spanish, la huella. ¿Cómo se dice, Susie? Huella?
Yeah, like
the mark. There's a word for that in Spanish, I don't know in English, but definitely when you do that, it's like you leave a mark. So in my head was, there is a part of Suk that want to work with the client because she wants to leave her mark in working with the client, helping the client and contributing and making a difference. But then there is a part of her that doesn't want to work with him because he doesn't sound committed. So this is like, we all associate things. That is our associations, our own projections. So that is interesting when we can go around and everybody can share their projections. But instead of doing that, what we were thinking with Susie is to do a second technique that is about working with metaphors too. And in this technique, we want to ask you to consider when you hear this case and this situation, everything you heard so far, the associations, the conversation you had, if you had to associate this case and this situation that Suk has to deal with a movie or a book that you have read, what book or movie come up to your mind and why? And so you should listen, because these are everybody's projections. You may take it or not, you should listen to what people have to say, and then we're going to finish asking you, what caught your attention from everything you heard? You have to think of a movie or a book that you have read or you have seen, or a series, anyone that come up for you. Yes, Jaya.
So not the book, but the title, I think it's the title of a book which says, seek and you will get the answer. Mm-hmm. It's what flashed in my mind when you ask and you receive. There's a book on that. So that's what flashed in my mind when I was listening to you.
We have a tale in France where a rabbit and a turtle are in a race, and at the end, the turtle is the winner.
I have something coming up if I can share. So when Suk was starting to talk about the questions that she has received, I heard her saying, I have a lot of questions, but I can answer, but I don't need to. And I somehow felt that the client is somehow also thinking like that. I'm not sure if, and just flashed in my mind that maybe client is also at a state where he or she is realizing this. But because it has not been asked, he's also feeling the need to not answer. So I'm not sure if there is something for Suk.
The first book that came to my mind was Viktor Frankl's In Search of Meaning. So like, what are we here for? And so I know that's an important thing, Suk, like, because you have the meaning of coaching, but I wonder what your client's here for.
Let me share a line from a book. I know I'm blanking on a book or a movie title, but a line from a book came to mind. Is it okay to share that, or do I still have to get the book or the title? Well, it's a line from Hamlet, "To be or not to be," and it was just that. That's the vibe I'm picking up. Is that sense of tentativeness or hesitation?
Susie, anything? Jenny, go ahead.
There was a line that comes from The Field of Dreams, which is "Build it and they will come." That's what came to me.
And to me, there's a book I really like that the title is "Surfing with Uncertainty," and it's surfers never know how the wave is gonna come, but if you're a good surfer, you'll know how to get that wave. Anybody else has another one? Damian, do you have one?
In a way, I associated with a play that I watched was a love story that never happened. That came up to me like it was a love story, and they were supposed to something happen, and nothing happened. So I was present to that. That's, I don't remember the name of the play. It was very interesting. That came up for me. Okay, so from everything you heard, what are some of your what is your thinking before we wrap up the day? It's in your mind.
Okay. So I think I'll spend a little more time thinking through a lot of this that I have got as input from all of you. I don't want to come to a conclusion right now. So, but tentatively, what I kind of get, sense that I'm getting is I need to set, one, give space, and second, set a bit of, a timeline. I don't know what that timeline is, in terms of that's the kind of space I would want to give. That's the kind of timeline I would like to give to the client, and then see, where, and it. So at one point, there was a question. One of you ask your client about it. So think through, ask my client about it, keeping it open-ended, So all of this is what I'm currently seeing in my mind. So this is what I'm sitting with right now.
That sounds great. And what I want to ask is everybody, before we go, to share briefly what do you get from the conversation today? Because it is in group supervision, everybody learned. What was your learning from the conversation today? Very briefly, to the point, very short. Let's go around. One key learning for you from the conversation today, from this session. Or a reflection, a learning, a reflection, a comment, anything you want to share.
I really liked the use of the photographs. I thought that the photographs were powerful and a great way to get another perspective, another insight.
Same. I like the part with the photographs, and I'm going to use that some way.
I got some of the answers that I was dealing with for one of the clients through the photographs, so that was useful.
That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing in group supervision. It's getting something, even though we are not bringing the case, still the process should be giving us answers to the work that we are doing. It's really cool. Great, Jaya, to hear that. Scott?
I'm left with the challenge. Oh, I'm sorry, Scott.
No, Herman, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Herman.
I'm
Go ahead.
with the challenge of, quantity and quality. You throw a lot of things out there and you can connect. How do you manage? What's that right balance between, should we go a little deeper with this now, or should we have more opportunities to stimulate things? And it's an art. And I'm realizing, wow, that'll take some years to develop that sense of when's the moment.
That's a great question. And here you also need to add the fact that people don't know each other, just met, for this period. And so you're being vulnerable. So you cannot be as deep, like if you will be in a smaller group of people knowing each other. And then it's interesting because for me, what is in my head as a supervisor, I also feel that I have some responsibility here.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, I feel that my responsibility in this case is that Sue considers going to talk to the client before she made the decision to talk to the other stakeholder, the sponsor. This is what was in my mind. But what's great that she got there. But if she wouldn't have gotten there, I do believe that it's my responsibility to bring this to her attention. Can everybody see that? Coaching is different than supervision. In supervision, you do have responsibility to bring to the awareness of the coach things that they may not be seen. So I was so happy when Sue said, okay, I need to have a conversation to talk, because I do believe that was necessary. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
That was I do believe the good outcome for the session. Scott, what's for you?
Yeah, how much do you just share what you're experiencing in these conversations? How much do you add explanation?
Yeah, so here it depends on each situation, and and everybody has different timings. Like Sue was a thought processor. She was thinking and talking aloud for a while, and sometimes it depends how much time you have. You may need more time. Some people need more time than others to process information and to do about that. So, Robbie, today was your first session. Any comments, observations, questions?
Sure, yeah. For me, it reconfirmed the notion that no two brains are alike. That's something that I have been playing with lately in the way I approach things. And just when you looked at the pictures, or when you talked about the books and the various reactions that people had and the associations that they had, and Jai, as you mentioned, oh, I saw something, I can take that to my client at level 1 versus level 2 observation. So again, no two brains are alike. And as we go through our process, either coaching or supervision, keeping that front and center is what I take away again today.
So anything you want to share? Any last words before we go?
I like, the pictures, they were, I got myself out of my head. So that was very refreshing. I think some people may have noticed, I think my energy also shifted. I think I got a little, so I think that was super useful. I don't know, what will I do with it? I don't know about that piece, but, so that was a very refreshing experience. Using, pictures to reflect. That was, and I'm definitely walking away with many reflection points, so I think for me, super useful.
Good to hear. I'm sorry, Mary, that you had the wrong time. You came just to the end. I said, where is Mary? She said she will be bringing a case today. But it's we record that. So I have a question. So is it okay for you to share the recording with the network, or would you rather not to share this session?
Sure, I'm okay with it. Absolutely.
Is everybody okay with it? Is everybody okay with sharing this? Okay, so Mary, you were not here, but you will still benefit from listening to the recording. Susie, thank you for working with me today. I think we have fun here. Anything you want to share with people before we go?
No, the only thing I noticed, which was very interesting, is that Sue was ready for action when she started. I think I'm going to do this. And it's amazing what 45 minutes of all sharing our thoughts and emotions can make such a deep reflection and so and make her thinking maybe other options. So I think it was great. Thank you very much.
So I want to apologize to Diana and Mary because we changed the time in Los Angeles, and I sent you may have not received the latest emails with refreshing the time and hour, being sure that we have consistency. So I apologize for that. So part of my responsibility. So it was not your fault, okay? I changed it at the end just to be sure that it was the same time in Asia. So hope to see everybody again next month. We have the session. We are going to be in communication. We also have, for people who are available, the Americas Coaching Supervisor Network that is going to be meeting in March. And we have Pam McLeod coming to do a session on her book. And it's going to be a great session if you can make it. It's going to be Monday. Let me tell exactly when that is so you can put it in your calendars. Is March 30th, is the last Monday of March, and that day is going to be the session for her to do the session. And ours, instead of doing it's going to be the last Wednesday in Asia, is the 25th, but it's going to be the 24th in the United States. So it's the 24th in the United States and the 25th in Asia, and it's the same time in Asia. But starting next month, we're going to be changing times in the United States. So in the United States, it's going to be different, but in Asia, it's going to stay the same. Okay, so sorry for the mistake with the time. Good seeing everyone.
Sure.
And we're going to download this in the America Coaching Supervisor Network website. We're going to download this session so you can have access to it.
Damian, can I just check with you? I really appreciate that you send out the emails the day before with the link. For the Americas one that you do, are we included in that? And so when you send it out, we'll get that as well? Or
yeah, well, this is always the same one. It's my ID. And the other one is always the same one, is Lily's ID. So it's always the same ID for her and always the same ID for me. What we are changing sometimes is the dates and times. But the American one is always Monday, and ours is Tuesday night and Wednesday morning in Asia. Okay.
So what time on Monday and what time on Wednesday will it be?
So Monday is always at 8 a.m. Okay, so you want to write it down in your calendars, March 30th at 8 a.m. It's really going to be a great session. And ours is going to be the week before, and it's going to be at the same time today here, but I think, if I am not wrong, will be 1 hour later in the United States, so to keep the same time in Asia. So it's in the middle of the day. So you go to 8 p.m., yes. Yeah. And it's going to be a little bit late for Mexico, sorry, 10 p.m. instead, just to make it work for Asia. But also for the next session, I'm wondering, instead of, because we're rotating between doing a group and doing presentations. Is anybody interested in doing a presentation for your colleagues here? Anybody would like to present and cover, like Mary, you offer that, and maybe Janine, the session that you're going to be doing at the conference, you can do it also here. So maybe for the next two sessions, we can have two lectures. One with Mary that you offer to do something, and then for the next one, and Janine, you can do that. Martine will be in the middle of the night for her, so I don't think she will come back. But you know, we have Michelle coming from Paris at the same time, so you can tell her, you know, Michelle has been doing this.
I met her yesterday and told her, but she was not really convinced.
Okay, everybody, great seeing everyone here today, and let's keep in touch and be in communication. Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sue.
Bye.